America is angry. Across this great nation, a sense of frustration and disillusionment is palpable. A simmering rage is bubbling over, manifesting in protests and public outcries. Hard-working, patriotic Americans are fed up. They toil day in and day out, only to feel ignored and marginalized by those in power. They see a government that no longer represents them, a government that has forgotten its most basic duty, to serve the people. The frustration is evident in town hall meetings and on the streets, where citizens voice their concerns, only to be met with indifference. From sea to shining sea, the message is clear: enough is enough. The call for change echoes from the Atlantic to the Pacific. We are a nation built on freedom, a nation that prides itself on liberty and justice for all, a nation forged in the fires of self-reliance and individual liberty. Our history is rich with stories of resilience and determination. Our Constitution, a sacred pact between the governed and those who govern, is being trampled upon. The very document that guarantees our freedoms is under threat. The very principles that have made America the envy of the world are under assault. Our independence, our rights, our way of life are all at risk. Every day we witness the erosion of our freedoms, the slow but steady encroachment on our rights. The relentless expansion of government power, unchecked and unchallenged, threatens the very fabric of our democracy. And the blatant disregard for the values we hold dear. Families sit around their dinner tables, worried about the future. We see our elected officials more concerned with appeasing special interests and foreign powers than with serving the needs of their own citizens. The influence of money and power has corrupted the very essence of our political system. This is not the America our forefathers fought for. They envisioned a land of opportunity, fairness, and justice. This is not the America we swore to protect. Our veterans, who have sacrificed so much, deserve better. The time has come to reclaim our heritage, to stand up for the values that define us as a nation, to remind those in power that they work for us, not the other way around. The power of the people is the cornerstone of our democracy, and it is time to exercise that power. Together, we can make a difference. United, we can bring about the change we so desperately need. For the sake of our children, our future, and the legacy we leave behind, we must act now. America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, must rise to the occasion. The time for change is now. The American dream is fading. Once a beacon of hope and opportunity, it now seems like a distant memory for many. The promise of prosperity and success through hard work is slipping away, leaving countless families disillusioned and struggling. While politicians preach empty promises from their ivory towers, they seem increasingly disconnected from the realities faced by ordinary citizens. Their grand speeches and handshakes do little to address the pressing issues that plague our nation. Everyday Americans are struggling to keep their heads above water. Families sit around kitchen tables, overwhelmed by bills they can't pay. Wallets are empty, and small business owners, once the backbone of our economy, are now closing up shop at record levels. The cost of living is skyrocketing, making it harder for families to afford basic necessities. Good-paying jobs are disappearing, leaving many to search endlessly for employment. Factories that once thrived now stand empty, symbols of lost opportunities. Our children are being burdened with mountains of debt. College students, who should be focused on their education, are instead stressed about how they'll pay off their student loans. Young adults are forced to work multiple jobs just to make ends meet, sacrificing their dreams and aspirations. We were promised a government that would protect our borders, ensuring the safety and security of our nation. Yet, the reality is far from this promise. Instead, we see an endless flow of illegal immigration, straining our resources and jeopardizing our security. Crowded detention centers and long lines at border crossings are a testament to the broken system. Our schools, hospitals, and law enforcement are overwhelmed. Overcrowded classrooms hinder our children's education. Hospital emergency rooms are filled with long waits, and our police forces are stretched thin, struggling to maintain order. We were promised a government that would uphold the rule of law, ensuring justice and fairness for all. But this promise, too, has been broken. Instead, we see criminals being coddled while law-abiding citizens are treated with suspicion. The justice system seems to favor those who break the law, leaving the rest of us to question our safety and security. Our veterans, the brave men and women who put their lives on the line for our freedom, are neglected and forgotten. They return home to find a lack of support and resources, many ending up homeless and struggling to survive. Our seniors, who worked their entire lives to build this country, are struggling to make ends meet. They face rising costs and dwindling savings, forced to choose between essentials like food and medicine. Many are turning to food banks for help, their worried expressions a stark contrast to the dignity they deserve. The golden years they were promised have turned into a daily battle for survival. And our children, the future of this nation, are being let down. They deserve a world of opportunity and hope, but instead they face an uncertain future. They are being indoctrinated with radical ideologies that undermine the very fabric of our society. Classrooms, once places of learning and growth, are now battlegrounds for controversial ideas that divide rather than unite. This is not the America we were promised. The disrepair of our flag and the abandonment of our small towns reflect the broken promises and shattered dreams of countless Americans. We were promised a government that would serve the people, a government that would listen to our voices and act in our best interests. Instead, we see a government that betrays our trust and squanders our hard-earned money. Taxpayers are left to wonder where their contributions are going as waste and inefficiency run rampant. But amidst the broken promises, there is still hope. Communities are coming together, people are supporting each other, and volunteers are stepping up to fill the gaps left by those in power. The spirit of the American people remains unbroken, and together we can strive to rebuild the dream that once united us all. Where are our priorities as a nation today? While American families struggle to put food on the table every day, our government sends billions of dollars overseas in foreign aid initiatives. While our own cities crumble under the weight of poverty and crime, we spend billions on nation-building projects in far-off lands. When disaster strikes here at home, when hurricanes devastate our communities and wildfires rage across our land, where is the government assistance we desperately need? Where is the sense of urgency to help our own citizens in their time of need? Too often, the response is slow, inadequate, and bogged down in bureaucratic red tape. Meanwhile, our government prioritizes funding for sanctuary cities that harbor illegal immigrants, undermining our laws and jeopardizing the safety of our communities. They funnel taxpayer dollars to organizations that promote radical agendas that seek to divide our nation and silence dissenting voices. This is not compassion. It is madness and chaos. We cannot continue to prioritize the needs of others while neglecting the plight of our own citizens. Charity begins at home, and it is time for our government to remember that. The very foundations of our republic are under assault. Our nation, built on the principles of liberty and justice, is facing unprecedented challenges that threaten to undermine the core values we hold dear. The Bill of Rights, the cornerstone of our freedoms, is being chipped away at by those who seek to control every aspect of our lives. These fundamental rights, enshrined in our Constitution, are not just words on paper. They are the bedrock of our democracy, ensuring that every citizen can live freely and without fear of oppression. The Second Amendment, our right to keep and bear arms, is under constant threat from those who would disarm law-abiding citizens and leave us vulnerable to criminals and tyranny. This right, which has been fiercely defended throughout our history, is essential for the protection of our homes and our families. It is a safeguard against the very tyranny that our government exhibits every day. The First Amendment, our right to free speech, is being eroded by those who seek to silence any opinion they deem offensive or dangerous. In a society that values open dialogue and the exchange of ideas, the suppression of speech is a direct attack on our ability to think freely and to challenge the status quo. The marketplace of ideas must remain open and vibrant, allowing for the free flow of thoughts and opinions. Big tech companies, in collusion with the government, censor conservative voices, suppress dissenting viewpoints, and control the flow of information. This unholy alliance between corporate power and governmental authority poses a grave threat to our democracy. When information is controlled, the truth becomes a casualty, and the people are left in the dark, unable to make informed decisions about their own lives and their country's future. Our right to religious liberty, the freedom to worship as we choose, is under attack by those who seek to impose their secular values on all Americans. This right, which allows us to follow our conscience and our faith, is a fundamental aspect of our identity as a nation. It is a reminder that we are a diverse people, united by our commitment to freedom and tolerance. Our right to privacy, the right to be secure in our persons, houses, papers, and effects, is violated on a daily basis by government surveillance programs that collect our data without our knowledge or consent. In an age of digital technology, the intrusion into our private lives has reached unprecedented levels. We must remain vigilant in protecting our personal freedoms and ensuring that our government respects the boundaries of our private lives. These rights are not granted by the government. They are inherent to our humanity. They are the natural rights of every individual, bestowed upon us by our Creator. Our Constitution merely recognizes and protects these rights, ensuring that they cannot be taken away by any earthly power. They are the birthright of every American, and we must never cease to defend them. It is our duty, as citizens of this great nation, to stand up for our rights and to ensure that they are preserved for future generations. The fight for freedom is never-ending, and it requires the vigilance and courage of every one of us. Let us rise to the challenge and protect the liberties that define us as a people. So I ask, where do we draw the line? America. We are told FEMA is running out of money, yet they spent $640 million to feed and house illegal immigrants. Our government is in debt $35 trillion, but just sent $385 million to Lebanon. How much have we given to Ukraine? How much have we given to Israel or Gaza? But we can only give hurricane victims who lost everything $750. This is unacceptable. This is not how a government is supposed to act. At what point do we draw the line? At what point do we say enough? At what point do we say to hell with the First Amendment and show them the real reason for the Second Amendment? I ask again, where do you draw the line? What is important to you? Are you okay with the behavior of our current government? Are you okay with your government spending hundreds of millions of your tax dollars on feeding and housing illegal immigrants while giving citizens who have lost everything only $750? Are you okay with your government giving Lebanon $385 million while allocating only $45 million for hurricane recovery? Are you okay with your God-given rights being constantly restricted and infringed? Are you okay with the government-run public education system indoctrinating and sexualizing your children? Are you okay with your government allowing BLM protests but not allowing you to go to church, the gym, the bar, or visit a dying relative? Are you okay with your government mandating that you are injected with an unproven experimental drug? Are you okay with the constant disregard for the Constitution and American citizens? Are you okay with your government spending hundreds of millions of dollars to help the people of Ukraine keep their power on but forgetting about hurricane victims? Where do you draw the line? Do you draw the line at the government using the legal system to jail and harass their political rivals? Do you draw the line at the government jailing the supporters of their political rivals? Do you draw the line when the government demonizes their political rivals to the point that there have been several assassination attempts and supporters have been killed? It is time that the government is reminded that they work for us, not the other way around. This is the very definition of tyranny. It is time to water the tree of liberty. So, I ask again, where are you going to draw the line, America?